Brenda L. Burmeister is a reluctant conceptual artist, devout experimental filmmaker, experienced designer, educator, curator, mother, but above all, she considers herself an avid metaphor maker, drawing parallels between personal insights and universal experience. Her films and participatory performance installations have shown internationally. Currently, she is completing a project that explores the power and limits of the shared experience of bearing witness to a stranger's personal narrative in a support group or an art space. With dark humor and candor, the work explores the necessary relationship between storyteller and audience while portraying the raw experience of enduring the persistent unknown. Please welcome Brenda to the stage.
First, I just have a lot of friends that I want to thank who walked this journey beside me and encouraged the project. So Fiona, Finn, Paul, Joy, Amber, Karina, Kate, Sarah, April, Natalie, Anna, TJ, Sarah G, Jordan, Tracy, Tina, Amanda, Kathy in California, and Kathy from Trauma Camp. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Can I trust you? What makes you trust someone enough to allow them to bear witness to your story? What I thought was the end, but was actually still the beginning. An old friend asked, well, are you making any art? And I blurted out, yeah, I'm making a graphic memoir about the power of support groups. Now, this was a lie, but it was revealing. I had never made anything like a graphic novel, wasn't working on one, and as an experimental filmmaker, I hadn't even made a film since before the pandemic. But the true lie was in the word powerful. Disdainful was a more accurate descriptor of how I felt about support groups. At that point in 2021, I was a new school administrator and a woman not yet aware of how perimenopause was going to awaken my inner teenager, and that teenager was bringing old coping strategies, and in turn that would lead to shame. So much shame. I was also an exhausted single mother caretaking for someone who was struggling. I thought of support groups like Craft, Thrive, Rise, Discovery, Esperanza, all such uplifting and irritating names. I thought of them as the recipe for finding the conclusion. I was intent on doing all of the things to fix all of the things, and so I kept coming back, despite feeling hopeless and annoyed. So while sitting in a circle of strangers listening to their stories, I was sketching and sitting in a circle of my own pain. Obviously, I started a graphic memoir, me sitting in this circle. I found a kind of purpose in sketching, researching, counting, listing, and cataloging all of my experiences. At points, the memoir and support groups felt like a compulsion, pushing me to find a narrative and an ending within it all. I was obsessed with endings. How would I end this graphic memoir? When would they stop? When would I stop feeling like I came from the wrong planet, like some kind of trauma alien? When would it even feel safe enough to hope for an ending? But circles don't end, they instead envelop and enclose. Can I trust you? For so many of us, the world feels like a place intent on answering no. What I thought would help me find the end instead over and over led me to the messy middle and a narrative arc that was just shared bearing witness. Art is just a message an artist sends out hoping that it will be seen and heard. It is a silent invitation to bear witness. Similarly, support groups are a space defined as an invitation to witness and trust. Can I trust you? Can I imagine a space that includes me and you, that is safe enough and big enough for my messiness? It's a risk to believe in a yes. The problem with audiences and support groups are they are filled with people, and people can be so aggravating. The first support group I attended was in person, and I was scowled at when I changed the pronouns for God in the shared reading. So instead, I turned to a group in Australia which felt more inclusive, or at least on Zoom, I couldn't tell anyone was glaring at me. For a long time, I wouldn't share in groups. I didn't even cry in them. I mostly cried alone. In another year and another group, every week, Jill seemed to take up all the air in the space in the room, which is a talent in Zoom. She overshared, she was self-centered in her responses, and she was uninhibited. She was everything I would not allow myself to be. But this one time, she said something that has stayed with me. You can give yourself permission to feel joy. That was the last meeting she attended. In making art, the artist isn't always creating the work, but they are also imagining the viewer, and so the audience becomes a kind of ending. Similarly, support groups are a shared experience of hope and transference. Does anyone have anything they want to share before we conclude? Yes, I want Brenda to know, for what it's worth, you are the adult I needed when I was 13. A young woman shared this a couple of months ago. That night I had talked about a certain kind of helplessness of not being heard. You see, I had reached out to a mother that their teen was clearly suffering. I knew because I had been that teen, was that teen. So many of us have been that teen. The mother who I am close to dismissed my concerns. I couldn't save either of them. But those words offered by that young woman spiraled in time, finding a home in the present and in the past for me and for her. You are the adult I needed. Even if I haven't figured it all out, inevitably everything comes to an end. Of all the endings I imagined, this was not one of them. Can I trust myself? Maybe that is the question I should have started with. In small ways, support groups and art making helped me relearn and practice listening for the yes. The artist imagines, the viewer crafts a vision of safety, and the audience becomes an ending, but one with their own responses and their own imaginings. You are my ending, you are your own ending. After the election results, I was kind of surprised the only people I wanted to see were those in my support group. We had never talked politics, and I wasn't sure where everyone landed on the issues that signaled safety to me. Can I trust you? Can we trust each other? It's a messy question asking how audacious our collective imagination can grow. Can we imagine, create, protect spaces that feel safe enough to share? Maybe that's the work for each of us. Something simple but powerful, like finding a group of strangers and trusting in the shared act of bearing witness together. Kinda like we're doing tonight. What?
Thank you so much, Brenda. You know, it's, you had me thinking tonight, one of my favorite lines of poetry from Adrian Rich is, no one has imagined us, you know, and I think about you in that room with the circle of people, or us here tonight. You know, when you think about, you know, making your artwork, sometimes it's like a message in a bottle, right? You send it out and you're not sure who's gonna pick it up. is there a certain person or a certain audience that you would hope would read or experience your art? Do you think about that?
Yes. I think initially, it's really hard to not think about the judgments that I think are going to come with it, right? And so there's that, getting over that. But I think everybody struggles in various ways, and I think a lot of that, the language around recovery and struggling is very siloed. So I think anybody that needs it, I guess
art can be a sense-making activity or a strangeness-making activity, depending on when did you start, kind of using art as a way to make sense or make strange your own life? If you've done this since you were, your work is incredible and it's beautiful, and I've never seen anything like it.
Thanks. I told my mom I was going to be an artist when I was 6. So
You're one of those.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a
long, route to it, though. Right. I think, yeah.
My grandmother used to say to me, I thought of this as well, because I was always in a hurry. Don't be at the end when you're just at the beginning, right? And I guess maybe my last question, just kind of because we're thinking about the role of art and encounters with art. There's another favorite poem. You're making me think about poetry and metaphors, but there's a Rilke poem called The Archaic Torso of Apollo, and it's about a sculpture. But the last line is, from here there is no place that does not see you. You must change your life. And somehow your work made me think about, but is there a work of art that you've encountered, a song or a film or anything that made you feel like, I want to change my life? Or just made you see your life differently?
There's an experimental film, Blue. Jerome, I never remember the last name, but
Blue?
Yeah, it's all blue. The whole 45 minutes is blue, and it's just him talking about death, his imminent death, and his inability to make art. Actually, I did go to a residential treatment center for trauma, and they do a lot of really weird interactive activities, and in my weird interactive activity, that was the scene that I saw over and over was Blue, the film. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for Blue, and thank you for your brave and original, life-changing work.
Thanks.